So whenever we do a hearing test, the first thing we're going to do is start with a visual inspection. And so I'm just going to take my otoscope and put it in his ear. And we might have to kind of move it around a little bit. But we're just seeing if we can visualize the eardrum. And if we can see the eardrum, then we know that it's clear and we can proceed with our other hearing tests. If there's any cloudiness behind the eardrum, that could be an indication that there's fluid. And if there's fluid, then the other hearing test might not go so well. So a little bit of wax is okay. But if we cannot visualize the eardrum, then we definitely want to make a referral to someone else. So once we see the eardrum and it's all clear, then we can do our tympanometer test, which is going to test the refraction of the eardrum, and so seeing if the eardrum moves. And so all we're going to do is just put this in their ear, and we're just going to see if we can get a good seal. I know, buddy. And those little ears, it's so tricky. We're going to try again. You're doing so good. We might have to go with a smaller tip. Let's see, bud. You're doing so good. I know. And with those little eardrums, it's a little tricky. We're going to try the other side. Let's see what we can do, okay? Let's see if we can get it in there, buddy. I know. And so what we want to see is when the test is all done, a good curve, which tells us that the eardrum is bouncing back the sound and the pressure. And if we are able to pass that test, then we're going to move on to our next one, which is going to test our inner ear function. Yeah. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a probe in. The other test had like a little puff of air at the eardrum, and this is going to give us some sound readings. So we're going to put our probe in. And I'm going to check that there's a good seal. I know, buddy. And we're going to let it settle. And it's going to test our different frequencies. So there's 4 frequencies, and we want to pass on at least 3 out of 4. And it looks like Sully passed. He's got all the frequencies. So we got a clear ear, our eardrum is working appropriately, and we passed on all of our frequencies. Good job, buddy. Good job, you did it. So what I'm looking for is a reflection on the eardrum, because that tells me that the light is bouncing back and there's no fluid behind it. So I'm going to have you hold him, and I'm just going to take a peek, and it's going to be on my little camera here. We're going to see. And we're going to just, you could sit on the floor too. That would be fine. Yeah. And I'm just going to take a little peek in, my friend. Are you ready? We're just going to look. And I just want to see if I can see that eardrum. So I got a peek at it, so it's not blocked by wax. I'm just going to take a little peek in, buddy. I know I saw we. And so those little eardrums. And I'm seeing the reflection of light. So that tells me I don't think there's any fluid behind there. So the next test we're going to do is we're going to look at the reaction of the eardrum and see if it's going to be a little puff of air. And we're going to see how the eardrum reacts. And so what we're looking for is a nice, good curve, because that tells me the eardrum is bouncing back in that nice rhythmic pattern. We're just going to put it in. We got to get a seal. We'll see what happens. Are you ready, my friend? Yep, and just like you were holding him before. We're going to see if we can get. And sometimes it's a little tricky when they're wiggly and small. We're going to try it again. Ready, buddy? I know you're doing so good. That's so tricky. Let's see it. I know, let's try one more time. You're doing so good. Oh, that's okay. Sometimes when they're wiggly, this one's hard to get. But that's okay. We're still going to try the next one. This one is going to show us how the inner ear is reacting. And so we want to see, it's going to test 3 different frequencies. And we have to pass in 3 out of 4 to pass the hearing test, my friend. And so this one was a puff of air. This one's going to be a couple sounds. And we're just going to be looking here. We want to get a good seal. We're almost all done. We're almost all done, my friend. I just want to see if I can get a good. And we're wiggly. Let's try it again. We're going to do that one again, my friend. We're going to try one more time, and then we'll be all done. You're doing so good. I know, so good. Last one. Awesome. Yay, you did it. We're all done. And so it looks like there was one frequency that we didn't get a good reaction to. Typically what we would do is we would retest the ear. And so we would kind of see. Hearing that we passed our newborn hearing screening and that we haven't had any ear infections are all really good positive indicators. So that's great. All done, my friend. You did it. Thanks for playing.